Hey YouTube, what is up? I thought I'd take the time to teach you guys a new archetype that is so busted I can't even pronounce its fucking name. Seriously, I'm gonna butcher this shit worse than Iggy Azalea butchers her own songs. I'm gonna give it a try, but if I mess it up, it's my bad, guys. So here we go. The archetype is called Jinishi.
You see, Jimmy. Jim.
The archetype is called Junishishi, and it's based off of Jackie Chan adventures. Really? Who the f wrote this script?
Are you even allowed to curse in these videos? There might be kids watching.
That's a pretty good question. I guess I'll just do what I do when I see kids at locals and I'm saying hi to my friends.
Pretty good, SpongeBob.
First off, I run one Cleafort Scout because it looks like one of the angels from Neon Genesis Evangelion. I run one Terratop because I really like Beyblade as a kid. I'm a big fan of Instant Ramen. Tin Goldfish, I couldn't think of a joke for. And I run one of these guys, Coach Captain Bearman, because he looks like a cross between what I assume is a furry and Cyclops from the X-Men. I also play one Missing Image because DevPro can't locate this card art or name. I run three Jimmy Jam Mole Rat because it fucking is the best card in this deck and you need three of them. I don't even bother to run any of the other Jimmy Jam cards. I just run three Mole Rats. I run one Takatomborg so I can search it with my Beyblades. I like to run one Fire Formation Tenki because I can search it out with Tony the Tiger right here. I run one Dragons of Dragogia because it's really hard to pronounce. I run one Cleafort Monolith so I can make Infinity with this motherfucker right here. I run three Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries because it's a pretty busted card. You can actually see it turn one because of how much you draw off Coach King right here. And I play one Sandwich and one Elemental Hero Flame Wingman as targets for my Ghost Cherries. You never know when Sandwich is going to come up. It's really hard to make considering the fact that Sangan's banned, but in case someone does make this card, they're probably going to be a really good player, so I just Ghost Cherries it before they actually bring it out. I play one Upstart Goblin for consistency. If I didn't play it, my deck would be 41 cards. I just wouldn't see the cards I want. You know, 41 with one Upstart really makes the deck a lot more consistent. Same reason I'm playing three Pot of Desires. I actually want to use Pot of Desires every turn, and if I'm not good enough to win by the third turn, I'll actually commit Sudoku and just use Pot of Desires to actually deck myself out and give myself the auto lose because I don't like giving my opponent the satisfaction of actually beating me. Basically, the rest of the cards in this deck don't matter. You only really want to run one of your combo pieces because there's a way you can guarantee you get them to hand, and it's called stacking, and that's what you're going to want to do every game. So you really don't need to run any more of the other cards. The rest of them don't matter at all. I just threw in some cards that I thought looked really cool. Shout out to Dark Magician, shout out to Blue Eyes. If you run more than one of these, you actually run the risk of seeing it more than once in your life, which is something you don't want. I actually got this advice from my dad after he left the day after I was born and never came back. He's still looking for that pack of smokes. And Dad, if you're watching this, you can come back home. No hard feelings. It's all good. And now that we got the boring part of the video out of the way, here comes the fun part where I go on YG Organization and read every single card I just described to use effect again, because I decided to not read them the first time, so I don't really know what their effects are. I'm also going to record it in 480p and scroll a lot as I do it, so you can't actually watch it or read it yourself. You have to rely on me mispronouncing every thing I read. Yeah, so what's up, guys? I'm back. We got some new Junish monsters. The effects right here. It's kind of hard to read, but if you...
3 hours later.
And now I'll teach you guys how to pull off this broken combo. First thing you're going to want to do is use a technique I call stacking. What you basically want to do is put the cards you want to see on the top of your deck in reverse order. So the cards you want to see first, you make sure to put on top last. That way you draw them first. It makes it really easy. You basically only want to see like the top like 8 or 9 cards of your deck. So that's why the rest of the deck doesn't even matter. You're going to search out Mole Rat anyway. All you got to do is just make sure your opponent doesn't shuffle your deck. If they try and touch your deck, just slap their hand away. Tell them not to try anything stupid like that again. You're going to want to try and go first. Technique I like to use for this is using something called loaded dice, which is not like a loaded baked potato or anything like that. These are actually dice that guarantee you win. The secret is to not let your opponent use the loaded dice. So basically you roll your dice, you know, you get a 12, you're like, oh man, that's so crazy, how the fuck did I get a 12? And then you take your dice and tell them to go find different dice to roll. But most people will be completely fine with not using the same dice as you to roll. And the last step to this is making sure your opponent doesn't have any good cards in their hand. I like to actually do a test hand of my opponent's deck. Make sure they don't get Maxi or Ghost Cherries or anything like that in their hand. If they do, I just put them on the bottom of the deck, do another test hand, make sure there's no good cards, and then I give it back to them. Anyway, the first thing you want to do in this deck is and do your best imitation of every BA player and Terratop into Takatomborg.
Then you do this, then this, and this, then that, and this, and that, and this, and that, and that. I got it! It's all very clear to me now, Mr. Krabs.
It is?
Yes! I finally realized that I can't do it! I can't do it, Mr. Krabs!
And I know what I just did looked really hard and complicated to pull off. That was intentional. That's why I did it that way. If you might have noticed, I actually edited so you couldn't watch what I was doing. But if you really want to try, you could actually end up with a board of Cyber Dragon Infinity, Treat Toad, and some other broken shit.
That's all, folks.